Pat Juneau enjoys farm-style living on the prairie west of Scott. With 30 years of making art with metal, Pat now spreads the joy of living with work that's easy.
A folk artist is somebody who has to do it. You know, it's just not a choice in their life. You have to do it. You know, you either, stop existing or you get up in the morning and make art. And I couldn't really exist if I didn't make art. It's not my choice to make, I could probably do a different thing or do not so much of it or do more of it, adjust things that way, but doing it is a necessity for me. I don't have that choice. When you define, when you sort of invent things, I guess you call it, it's a lot harder to, you don't have anything else to judge yourself by. You don't have anything to say, oh, okay, that's how they did it. I'm going to go do stuff like they did it, and then I'm going to, I'm going to make that and do that, and maybe I'll do it a little bit different, but it's going to basically be the same. When you start to develop a technique, you have to define it yourself, and if it's too difficult, it's hard for people to understand it, and I think I found something easier for people to understand. With me, sometimes I see something that just sort of sparks it off, a flower in the yard, a fruit, or a car going by, or somebody riding a bicycle. I love to do bicycles. If you see that bicycle going by and you see that joy, that people have, that flying down the road, and I do that, I try to capture that. Of course, I exaggerated a great deal, but there's just something about it, and to be able to change that magic, that little spark of magic, to draw it on steel, then cut it out, and then put it together. You have to do some welding on it, you have to put a back on it, or you have to put pieces together, or whatever you're going to do. That's just like nothing to me. That's going to happen. I know it's going to happen because I know how to do it. I know how to do it well. It's the idea of taking that little bit of magic and going through those little processes with it, and then putting it out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's going to happen. I know it's going to. Hopefully it's the right thing. It's the right thing that you captured, you grabbed and made it to reality, made it to a piece of art. My job is not defined. And I don't need that. I never have. I always like to do something different. It excites me to do something different. I can sit down and make these big flowers here, and I know they're going to sell, but after a while it gets to be a burden, a job. It's not exciting anymore. It's not fun. So I need to do something different. And I think those two things in my personality are being able to get up in the morning and the necessity to do something different is what makes it happen. I don't think you can be a complete person without art. I don't see why you'd even want to try. I think we've always pushed it to the background, but studies now, have shown that if you have art, things like standardized tests go up by 20% if you teach art in a school. But for your humanity, it's a necessity. How can you, go through your life with Walmart art on your wall? There's no soul in there. There's no reality in there. It's a dead end. If you don't put a little sculpture in your front yard, or you don't put something in your backyard, where you can look at and have something to identify with yourself, it's a you're dead. You're dead already, man. You know, you can't be a real person without art. You're not really alive. You know, you've been defined by something that's not humanity. My role is to make art accessible to people. I like to keep stuff cheap, you know, so people can have it. You know, people, you know, have a piece of art and hang it on their wall. And I have so many people that tell me, you know, look, man, I bought a piece from you and I hung it out on my back porch or in the living room or something, and it makes me feel good every time I look at it. It makes me feel real. It's fun for me because it's easy for me to do. You know, I think a lot of people do things that aren't easy for them to do just because they think that if it's easy to do, then it's not good. But and it's probably not easy for everybody to do, but it's just something that I've figured out how to do, and it's sort of the natural flow for me, a natural flow for my talents or my perspectives or whatever you want to call it to go to. And it's simple for me. It's simple, and it's the thing that I need to do right now. It's not something I could have done 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. I was doing it 5 years ago, but it's something I learned to do. But it's something that came real easy for me. So that's why it's fun. For a long time, nobody else was doing anything like this. A lot of other people are starting to do it now. It's just a good little trick, I guess. But for a long time, nobody else was doing it, so it's hard to define it. You know, it was real hard to come up with a definition of the medium. So just do it. Hope somebody sees it and hope they like it. It's fun. That's what I define it as. When it quits being fun, I'm going to do something different.